You already own one of the most powerful tone shaping tools for your guitar, and you're probably not using it. At least I certainly didn't when I was getting started. But top players like Joe Bonamassa use this all the time to shape their tone without even touching any pedals or amp settings. I'm talking about the volume and tone knobs. Back when I was getting started, I used to just leave these set to max and then basically ignore them. But nowadays I'm constantly adjusting them while I'm playing to refine my tone and dial in different sounds in real time. What's interesting is that a lot of people don't fully understand how these knobs work, because when they're on, they're basically off. That is to say, when they're at a max setting or at 10, they're not really doing anything. That's because these are what's called potentiometers or pots. That's what the knob's controlling. And they work by sending some of your guitar signal to ground, or basically getting rid of it. So when we're at a 10, all of our signal's coming through. And when we dial down to 0, that means that none of our signal is coming through, it's all being sent to ground. So for our volume, that means that all of our guitar signal gets sent to ground at 0. But with a tone knob, it's slightly different. What's happening is it's affecting the higher frequencies. So you can hear that when I dial it back to 0, we're left with that warm, muddy sound. And then as I dial it up, we've got a bit of a brighter sound coming through. And reframing how these knobs work has made them so much more useful to me as a player for a couple of different reasons. The first is knowing that they don't add anything. So I can't add any more volume, I can't add any more tone. They're just taking away and shaping what's already there. The second, and probably the thing that helped me the most, is to stop thinking of the volume knob as the overall loudness and quietness of your guitar. Instead, I like to think of it as a tap that controls the level of guitar signal that's leaving my guitar. It's a very slight difference, but it's really helpful as a player, thinking that I'm not turning my guitar down, I'm not going to be heard less. All that's happening is I'm just shaving off some of my guitar signal, so I'm not going to drive my amp or my pedals as hard, and it will clean up my tone a little bit, usually without sacrificing any of that loudness at all. Now, if you want to take this a step further and really understand how these knobs work, then they don't actually reduce at an even rate. So when you turn the knob down from 10 to 0, it doesn't decrease steadily like that. And that's because these follow what's called a logarithmic pattern. Now that sounds way more complicated than it actually is. Basically, all it means is that there's going to be a sharper drop off towards the top end of the knob. So from 10 until about 7, that's where most of the action is going to happen. That's really useful to us as players because it means that we can do quite a bit to our sound without having to do that much movement. Now, the biggest way that I use them is to round off my guitar tone when I'm playing, usually just by taking it from 10 to about 8. And that's just the volume knob, because not only does that reduce the drive slightly from my amps, but reducing the volume knob actually reduces some of the high end as well, at least on most guitars as stock. There's a mod that you can do called a treble bleed mod that keeps the high end consistent as you turn the volume down, but most of the time turning down the volume knob also takes some of that high end as well, which just cleans up your guitar tone. And that's really great for lead guitar, because what you can do is just roll the volume knob back, and that will bring you more into the mix. So when you're playing rhythm stuff, you'll fit in a bit better. And then when it comes to a lick or solo time, then all you do is just boost your volume and you're back at the forefront of the sound. It's like having a free boost pedal. It also changes how pedals respond to your guitar. As I said, dropping that volume back decreases your guitar signal and it will soften up any pedal. So if you've got a particular harsh sounding drive, just try rolling back your volume and it should bring it more under control. I've also found that changing the tone knob really affects wah pedals and how they respond to your guitar. It kind of makes it sound a bit rounder and a bit more open as well. But if you have a Strat like me, you might not have any tone controls for the bridge pickup. Some models do, but most of the time they won't, and that's by design. If you do want tone controls for your bridge pickup, it's a really straightforward mod that you can do yourself. But as I said, most of the time, if you just roll off the volume knob just a little bit, it helps control some of that high end. So that's what I use for tone control for my bridge pickup on my Strat. So next time you pick up your guitar, try seeing how many sounds you can get just by adjusting the volume and tone knobs. I think you'll be surprised at how much heavy lifting they can do. If you want more guitar tips, I've got loads of extra stuff that you can check out on my channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.